Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Queen Sugar Season 3, Episode 1, which was titled A Rock, a River, a Tree. This was the season opener for Queen Sugar, and they came back with a little bit of vengeance to it. It was a really good season opener. So it started out with Charley, and she's out for a morning run, and she ends up running. Actually, while she was running, some boys came by in a truck and yelled something out at her, but I didn't catch what it was. But then she runs onto this property, so I thought she was headed over to Sam Landry's house for some coffee or something, but it turns out that she done moved out of that industrial flat that she had done created, the warehouse that was on the sugar, the Queen Sugar property, and she's bought a big house. So I was a little confused as to what was going on, and then I remembered, as the show went on, I started remembering how the season ended, where her and Jacob entered into this agreement to set Sam Landry up, and basically she's supposed to be selling the sugar mill to the Landry. So as the show went on, I kind of started remembering things. So Charley goes to see Landry, so they can sign the contracts. And so when she gets there, Jacob is there, but Sam Landry tells Jacob to leave. And so he gets to talking to Charley, talking about he want to have a face-to-face to her. Then he starts talking to Charley about how he thinks it's a good thing for her to be the face of Queen Sugar. And so he's all in agreement with what they're doing and thinking that, it's all going to work out for the good. And he was also being kind of smug because, he said something about Ernest would be so proud of her right now, and we know good and well Ernest would not be proud of her right now, because the last thing he wanted to do was get into bed with the Landrys. So Charley has this expression on her face like she's starting to rethink what she's doing and whether or not she's making the right move with what she's doing. So then we go over to Nova, and Nova's having a meeting with these white ladies, and they turn out to be like publishers. They were trying to sign her on to do a book contract to talk about, the Zika virus, and just basically her social activism that she has going on. And so Nova, she act like she's, feeling the accolades that they're giving her, until they start talking about how they can see her having multiple books, going on world speaking tours, and that, her name would be bigger and more popular than the Tom guy that, remember when Dr. Dubois took her to that dinner and her and the guy got into it, like they could see her being a bigger person than that. And so now Nova's sitting up thinking like, okay, wait a minute, they trying to make me go commercial, and y'all know Nova don't want to go commercial. She wants to stay small time. She wants to be handing out flyers in the community and writing her little stories in the newspaper and having everybody think she's, this big person. Like she still doesn't seem to be ready to think outside the box and understand that her message can get to a far bigger audience than the people in St. Joe or in New Orleans in the 9th Ward. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Then we move over to Ralph Angel. So Blue, we find out has been acting out at school, and I guess it's not to be a big surprise to us, because we do know that kids don't always adapt to change well. And with Darla going back to DC and then left him, and them not telling him the truth, so now he's being a bully in school and picking on the other kids. And so Ralph Angel trying to check him and telling him, you need to get your act together. So he looks over and he notices this box on the side. So he looks in the box, and it's all dollar stuff. So Ralph Angel was packing up dollar things out of the house, and Blue was like, well, where you going with my mama's stuff? So he said, well, I gotta ship it to her. So Blue wasn't really feeling that answer. So we're gonna learn that throughout the show, Blue is feeling himself, and he didn't have enough of them treating him like a baby. And I'm trying to think that Blue had that dang on Kenya doll on this episode. But he got an attitude, and Ralph Angel had to check him a couple of times. So then we move over to Aunt Vi. So we find out that Aunt Vi and Hollywood done went to Italy. So I guess he done got that settlement check from the rig. He is just like treating Aunt Vi like the queen that she is. And so, you know, they acting like all brand new money. They're going to get married. You know, they're trying to come up with the plans for the wedding and what all they want to take place. And so Nova comes over and she shares with Aunt Vi, you know, about the book deal offer, but says that she's real nervous about it. And then later on, there's a scene where Charley comes over, and so her and Charley are talking, and Charley, you know, reminds her that when she first learned about Ida B. Wells, how that was her superhero, and, you know, Ida B. Wells wasn't stuck in the little community. She was out there trying to help people that, you know, anybody that would listen, she would deliver her message. So that kind of got Nova to thinking. And then Micah comes in, and so Micah has this camera, and I can't remember if Nova bought him the camera or where he got the camera from, but he comes in and he's like trying to take these like candid images of them, and so he was behind them and he was telling them, oh, don't turn around, you know, keep facing in the direction you were facing. And then he was able to capture some shots, like one where Nova laid her head on Charlie's shoulder and everything. So I think he's going to end up trying to do like a family history type thing and just, you know, kind of get all these images going on. And I don't know if he won't be a professional photographer or what Michael got going on, but we're going to learn that he was feeling himself a lot in this episode as well. So then they all end up moving into the living room, and they were getting ready to look at some pictures and videos that Hollywood had made of their trip to Europe, and letting them know like where he wants to get married at and some ideas that they came up with to do for the wedding. So Ralph Angel sitting there, he all in his feelings, being grumpy and carried on. So then he gets up and walks out. And I think he went in the kitchen because then Charley comes in the kitchen to fix a drink or something. And so he asks her, you know, did she sign the contract? And Charley lets him know that she did. And, you know, he's real nervous because he's terrified that he's going to lose the farm, you know. And it got me thinking, like, what happened to Ralph Angel, parole officer? Is he no longer on parole? Like, the guy just stopped coming around, and y'all know how I feel if you watch my recaps from the last 2 seasons, how they just be bringing people into the show and taking the people back out of the show without saying anything. So Charley reveals to him, like, what her plan is. Now, Charley's only going to be like a 1% owner in the sugar mill. But with that 1% ownership, she decided that she's going to be able to gain access to all of Landry's business records, dealings, shareholders, etc. And then eventually expose their wrongdoing and, you know, how they've been intimidating the other farmers. And like I said, I don't know how 1% get you all that kind of access, but she seems to be quite confident that this is how it's going to work out. So we're going to roll with Charley on this. So then the next scene, the family heads over, and I guess they have like an all-star basketball game. And the community comes out, and the former graduates of St. Joe High School, and then some other high school that I guess all the white children in the city go to. And so it's a big tradition in the community, you know, and everybody's going to be there. So Aunt Vi, and they all walk in, but Aunt Vi and Charley are going to go and get something to eat. So Aunt Vi was kind of like feeling herself because it was a scene where Hollywood tried to help her up the bleachers, and she like pulled her hand back and didn't want him to touch her. You know, she was like, I'm fine, I'm fine. So I'm thinking, you know, because of her lupus and everything, like maybe he's just smothering her or whatever. But we kind of later learned out that that's not all of it with her. So her and Charley go out to the where they sell the food and drinks and everything. And then Blue take off running after them, and Ralph Angel like, Blue, come back here. So Blue wasn't paying them no attention. So now Ralph Angel got to go down and go after Blue and tell Blue, you know, he getting beside himself for not listening and to come on and go with him. So while Charley was standing in line, she notices this guy. So at first I didn't know who the guy was. It was an older white guy and he had a little boy with him. So she goes over and she starts talking to the guy and it was like, oh, you know, do you have somebody that's playing on the team or whatever? And then the guy said his son, I think he said his son went to whatever this high school was, or he was now playing college ball. And I guess I was half listening, and that's why I didn't get the full story. But I was sitting there like, okay, well, that was just a random conversation, just really awkward. But then it clicked in my head later on that the guy was actually the police officer that arrested Micah. Remember when they got Micah all pinned up and he stuck the gun in Micah's mouth and all of that. And so now Charley, you know, she got to get her vengeance with him and have somebody investigating him and carrying on. So Blue walked up. So I don't know how he hadn't got away from Ralph Angel, but he walked up and Ralph Angel had to come get him again. So then they go back into the game, but Blue and Ralph Angel wasn't there. So I guess Ralph Angel had done took him in the bathroom to check him about his attitude. So while they were sitting there talking, Charley looks over and she notices Remy sitting there. Now, I thought we was done with Remy after last season, but I guess we're going to still have some tension between the two of them. And so she asked Micah, you know, well, where is Kiki at? And so he said that Kiki had the flu because, you know, Kiki is a cheerleader. So then the announcer come out. So they get ready to start this game. And he's thanking everybody for being there and talking about the tradition of the basketball game. So then he decides that he was going to introduce the Sugar Queen of that year. And she was also the homecoming queen at their school. And she was going to sing the national anthem. So I got to thinking, okay, Kiki didn't want to come because she knew, you know, the whole fiasco with the sugar mill and the brown sugar queen and the brown sugar festival and everything. So I'm thinking she knew that that girl was going to be singing the national anthem and that's why she didn't want to be there. But that's just me thinking that. They didn't say any of that. They said Kiki had the flu and that's why she wasn't there. So the girl get to singing the national anthem and so everybody starts standing up and Prosper didn't get up, you know, he was there, and then Nova didn't get up, and Nova reminded me so much of myself, because I don't stand for the national anthem. I don't know if I've ever stood for the national anthem, and I know I was like in the 2nd grade when I stopped saying the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, my mama had to come out to the school and talk to the people and everything, but I just never been about all that, because I think even at a young age, I understood that, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, like none of that really applied to black people. And I think with the Pledge of Allegiance, the part that bothered me was the part about one nation under God and all of this. And I'm thinking, how are you the most corrupt country in the world? You said that's about God sanctioning all of this nonsense. So I was like, you know, power to the people, Nova, don't get up. So Michael, you know, he was sitting there like, should I sit down? Should I get back up? Like, what should I do? So while he was pondering, these 4 students, it was three boys and a girl, black students, they come down and then they march out on the basketball court in front of the girl that's singing, and then they took a knee. I was like, all right, now Queen Sugar, y'all supporting Colin Kaepernick and the cause. So it was a Ava did a tweet on Twitter where she was thanking Oprah for allowing them to incorporate that into the show. So I guess Oprah was feeling like, I don't know if we need to be doing that or not. But she did let them do it. And so, of course, the white people in the crowd, they got all angry and upset and was, you know, yelling slurs at the kids. And then some folks up in the stands had a big old Confederate flag that they had them brought to the game. And I was just like, all righty there. So I was thinking like, oh my God, please don't let a riot or anything break out. But then the security guards came and they, you know, escorted the kids out of the gym. And, you know, then they went on with the basketball game. The announcer came back and was like, all right, you know, we ain't gonna let that disrupt the game. Let's come on, we here, watch the basketball game. Let's get on with this. So as all the protests and everything was going on, Michael, you know, he was taking pictures because he had his camera with him. So the game ended. And I think it was after the game, they all went to some bar. And I couldn't tell if it was the High Yellow or if it was another bar because all the lights was out, you know, and everybody was there drinking beer and stuff. And so back at the game, Micah, he had told Charley he'd catch up with her later. And I'm still trying to figure out, do Micah still have that car that his daddy bought him that started the whole thing with the arrest? But I'm thinking, no, because see, like he said he was going to ride with somebody else. Yeah, I don't think he was driving. So there was a little scene where the kids that were escorted out of the game, they came through the parking lot, and then Micah, he was looking at them, admiring their courage for what they did, because he's still over there at the private school, and, he was like, what's up? They was like, what's up, dude? And, he just standing there, and I was like, Lord have mercy. So when they was walking away, I was like, Micah, get the shot, get the shot. And them walking away proud of what they did, but he was so enamored and fascinated with the kids. Then we had a scene with Ralph Angel, him and Blue over there arguing about. Blue say he can put his own seatbelt on. He don't need Ralph Angel to help him put no seatbelt on. So Ralph Angel, he all frustrated and everything. Like, Blue, I don't know why you acting like this, but you go ahead on and put that seatbelt on, and you better put it on right. So when he go to walk around the truck, there's this girl there named Tamika. And so Tamika basically let Ralph Angel know, I know Dollar done rolled up out of here on you. And I just want you to know I still like you and I'm still here for you. And you got my phone number, so call me when you need me. I said, well, go ahead on, Miss Tamika. We just putting it out there like that. And I tell you, them chocolate girls know they be loving them some Ralph Angel. With Ralph Angel, he was all in love with Darla. So back over at the bar, there was some guys that was, talking about how embarrassed they were by the kids protesting and carrying on. So Nova goes over, was telling them like, why are y'all talking about the kids? That showed courage and everything. So they was looking at her like, girl, go somewhere and sit down. Then Aunt Vi sees Remy, he at the bar with his friends and everything. So she tells Charley, you need to go over there and get some act right going on. And just because y'all, done broke up, Remy's still family, we still want him to feel like he's our friend and he's part of the family. So go over there and invite Remy to come over here. So Charley going on over there. And I guess she ain't used to people telling her no, but Remy was like, I appreciate the offer, but I'm happy over here with my friends. But tell her I said thank you. So when Charley go back over to where they were sitting at, Jacob Boudreaux was in the bar. Now, he was the only white person in that bar. But he was in there and he went to, reminiscing and telling Charley about how he used to be a mean forward back in the day. And I think he went to college on a basketball scholarship. And I was like, boy, get up out of there for them people jump on you. And so Charley, I couldn't figure out if she was impressed or like because it was like she was smiling and carrying on. Then she called herself. Then she started getting engaged with the conversation again. And I was like, Lord, Charley, what is you lonely? What's going on? Like, can Davis hurry up and get back from California? Because I think there was a scene in the beginning where Michael said that Davis said that he was on his way back. So we find out, after Charley come to her senses and walk off, then we see Remy was like staring over there at them. And so we know he probably drawing the wrong conclusion and probably saying, see, this was why I left her alone and it was the right decision. And I'm still thinking that Remy and Nova going to end up hooking up at some point during this season. Oh, and then Darla called, and so she was like begging Ralph Angel, please talk to me, don't just hang up the phone. But Ralph Angel, I guess whenever she called, Ralph Angel just take the phone to Blue and be like, Blue, here go your mama. And he gives Blue the phone, so he goes back into the kitchen, but he's like listening because he got Darla on speakerphone. So Darla, was telling Blue that she missed him and she was trying to work some things out, but she would be back. And so I was like, okay, now what did that mean? You trying to work some things out? You coming to take Blue? Like, what does that mean? Are you trying to work things out with Ralph Angel so you can come home? So back at the house, Hollywood is in his feelings about the way Aunt Vi was treating him at the basketball game. And he want to know why I can't help you. Like, why I can't take your hand and help you up the steps and down the steps. And Aunt Vi, she's get to talking about how, she her own woman and she's strong enough to stand on her own 2 feet and she don't need. It sounds like really Aunt Vi, like I think it's nice that when a man opens doors for a woman and when he takes her hand and makes sure she can get up the steps by herself and get down the steps. I say, because if he didn't offer and you mess around and fell down the bleachers, then you would have been blaming him, saying what kind of man you is that you didn't help me. So whatever Aunt Vi got going on, I don't know if it's by being older than him, or now that she got lupus, she thinking she ain't got that long to live, or what is her problem, but she gonna mess around there and lose Hollywood, and Roberta gonna be waiting to step in and take her spot. Then we go over to Charley. So she at home and she watching this video that somebody then gave her of the white police officer, and he had stopped this black guy and he was beating the black guy and everything. And so she realized Michael hadn't came home yet, and so that she goes to call him to ask him, like, where are you, what are you doing? So while she's on the phone leaving the message, he walks in, and so he feeling himself and everything, and tell Charley, you know, don't be concerned about him, that he under control. And then while they were talking, Kiki called, and then he answers the phone mid-conversation and have a full-blown dialogue with Kiki, like his mama wasn't just getting in his butt about not calling her and letting her know that he was going to be longer than he said. And I'm just thinking, like, him and Blue need their butts whooped because they are getting out of hand. And then Charley was like, you know, so she trying to talk to him again. And Michael was like, can this wait? And then Charley was like, you know, well, okay, well, don't take long, and you need to hurry up and finish her packing. So then she walks out the room, and then Michael say, excuse me, but can you close that door behind you? I was like, what is wrong with these kids? So Charley gave him the look like, boy, who you think you talking to? But she closed that door. That had been me. I was like, if you get your behind off that phone, because you're not going to be disrespecting me in front of your little girlfriend. But I guess she was going to wait to have that conversation on another day. So then it goes, it's the next day, and Nova is meeting with the students that did the little anthem protest. And I guess she's interviewing them for an article in the paper. And some guy walks up, you know, and give them dap and tell them, you know, he was proud of them for what they did and their courage and everything. And so he walks off, and they were basically, one of the boys was saying that they had over 50,000 views of the video that was uploaded on social media. And then the girl, who seemed to be like the boys just seemed to be in it for the notoriety, but the girl seemed really, you know, about what they were doing. And so I think Nova could see some of herself in this girl. And she was like, you know, it was good, it felt good and everything, but, you know, they're not going to pay us any attention. You know, it'll be talked about right now, but then the politicians are going to treat us the same way they did the people in Ferguson, and nothing's going to change. So then in the last, was it the last scene? I think it was the second to the last scene. We're at the clinic. Now, I ain't never had a DNA test done, so I don't know how this worked out. But they was in some clinic. It was Charley, Nova, and Ralph Angel, and so they was sitting there. And I'm like, what is they doing? Because it had like a pregnant lady poster hanging up, and then some other poster was up on the wall. I don't know. But anyway, lady came out and she had a folder in her hand and said that she was looking for Ralph Baudelaire. Now, they was the only people in the waiting area, so I don't know who else she thought was sitting out there. So they all get up, and she gives Ralph Angel, she said, well, here's the results to the DNA test. She said, now, I'll give you a moment to look it over, and then I'll be back. So I was like, is this really what they do? I thought they sent the DNA or whatever in the mail. Like, I'm not understanding how this working out. So anyway, Ralph Angel goes sit down, and he opens up the folder, and he's reading the results, and we can tell that Blue ain't his. I was like, man, as much as Ralph Angel get on my nerves, I can't believe they did him like that. But Blue is not Ralph Angel's child, but he say it don't matter. It don't matter, you know, he's still his daddy, you know, Blue still belong to them. And so, you know, Charley and Nova, they're consoling him and everything. And I was just like, I cannot believe they did Ralph Angel like that. And so then later that night, Ralph Angel was outside on the porch drinking a beer. And then all of a sudden this car pull up, and out gets Tamika. So Tamika get out the car, and it looked like she was headed inside, but Ralph Angel said, no, we ain't going inside. And then Tamika, she didn't seem bothered by it. So he took her around back. I don't know if they went in the barn, if they went to get in the truck or what, but I was like, why y'all do dark-skinned girls like that? Like, why she got to be, and I mean, she didn't flinch or anything and say, why can't I come inside or nothing? She just followed him wherever he took her. I was like, Lord, Tamika, you got to have a little more self-respect than that. And so the show ended with Charley. Charley was sitting out in the yard at the farm like she was Miss Celie. Remember Miss Celie was sitting out there in that rocking chair, and I think she would be knitting out there. Well, honey, Charley was sitting in her rocking chair out in the yard and, you know, was all wrapped up in this blanket or something. And so Prosper comes out the house, and he let Charley know that he has to have back surgery, so he's not going to be able to help them out with the farm as much. And that, you know, he really felt bad for Ralph Angel because 800 acres is a lot of land to tend to. And that's why Ernest, you know, fell behind because it was just too much. And so Charley was saying, you know, Ralph Angel was going to be okay. And then, you know, he's just determined to prove to everybody that he's going to be able to farm the entire land and grow crops on all the land. So they're just going to have to wait and see. And so I'm still trying to figure out whatever happened to the crop from last season. Like, did they ever get the crop to the mill? Have they not taken the crops down? Because we never did see like any profit or anybody make money from, I don't know, y'all. But anyway, other than that, it was a really good season opener. I enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Leave your comments below. Rate the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. You can do all of that below. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.